Hey guys, Ben here with Oddly Armed, and today we're going to be doing another disassembly video, this time of a TommyBuilt T36, which is essentially a US-made copy of the H&K G36. So let's go ahead, get into it, and see how this thing works. Alright, let's go ahead and kick things off by popping out our magazine here. And the G36 uses very typical H&K style non-captive push pins. So the first thing we're going to do is take two of them out. So there's one here and then one in the magwell, so we can go ahead and pull out both those pins. And they're non-captive, so they'll come out there. One really cool thing about the G36 is it has these little holes here in the back of the stock, and these are meant to retain those pins, so you don't go ahead and lose them, so you just pop them in there, and then they are going to stay into your stock so you don't lose them. Now from here, we can go ahead, first pop off our trigger group, so that just comes off there. And then really easy, we can go ahead and pop off our magwell, so you'll have to press in on the magazine release. And then this just swings down and you can pull it straight off the bottom of the rifle. And real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at our trigger housing. So you can see there's not a whole lot going on in there. On the inside of the trigger group here, we'll go ahead and release our hammer. And you see there's quite a bit of polymer in there, particularly with the safety selector. But that's why it feels fairly plasticky. The hammer is metal on the T36. And then you can see our bolt hold open there, as well as the bolt hold open in the magazine well. And that's really all there is to see in the pistol grip housing. All right, now back to the receiver. The next step is going to be folding our stock. So we'll go ahead and fold that to the side and pop it on top of the shell deflector there. And in the back here, we're going to go ahead and pull out our recoil spring assembly. So you just press down on this little ledge, and then it's going to pull straight out the back of the rifle. You can see there's a little bit of a buffer in there, but not too much going on. Now the next step is going to be taking our bolt carrier group, and if we just turn the rifle over, that'll come straight out the back there. All right, here's a bolt carrier group, and this should look very familiar to anyone who's used an AR-180 style firearm anytime recently, or even an AR-15. So you can see our up front, we got our charging handle, which does pop out to either side, and again, super expensive fidget spinner. But to disassemble the bolt carrier group, it comes apart just like any AR-180 style rifle. So we have our firing pin retaining pin here at the back, so we'll just press in on that. Pin will go ahead and pop out. Then we're going to go ahead and drop out our firing pin, which is going to come out the back here. So there's our firing pin. And then the cam pin is going to come out the side. We'll just pull that out. There's our cam pin. And the bolt is going to pull out the front of the carrier. So you can see this is a standard H&K or AR-15 style 7-lug rotating bolt. There's nothing too crazy to see here. This is essentially the same design that will get carried onto the H&K 416 as well. Next, we're going to go ahead and take out our gas system. So to do that, we need to take off the handguard. So there's one more non-captive pin here at the front. So we'll go ahead and add this at the back with the rest of our pins. And at this point, our handguard is just going to pull straight off the front of the rifle. So there's that B&T quad rail there. And then look in here, this part can be a little bit tricky with the G36C variant. But basically you have to pull back on the spring and the rod a little bit, swing it out to the side, and then eventually let it work past the piston here. So you can see it's pretty tight space here. You don't have a lot of room to work with the piston, but if you just mess with it a little bit, eventually it's going to pop around the side, and then your piston rod as well as your piston spring will pop out. The last part here is going to be getting our piston out, so that just pulls straight out the back of the rifle. Again, there's not a lot of room on the G36C to do this, but this should look very familiar. This is essentially the same piston that ends up on the H&K 416 as well, so that's just a derivative of this design. And real quick, I'm going to give you guys a good look here in the receiver, so you can see it's fairly open. There's enough room in there that you can get in and clean. Pretty interesting, these early receivers were actually made by CMT, so Cho-8 Machine and Tool, which pretty cool there. But you can see into there, you can see our chamber as well, so that's very AR-15 style inside of there. And then that's pretty much all there is to see with the receiver itself. So this is actually where the gas piston punches out there and hits the bolt carrier group directly. And then at the front, we do have our gas block there, and you can see it's just vented at the front, and that's where the excess gas is released. And then back there, you can kind of see the barrel nut that holds in the barrel, but that's really all there is to see with the G36. And that is the H&K G36C, or in this case, the TommyBuilt T36C, fully disassembled. So thank you guys for checking out the video. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more disassembly and gun review videos.